Hello, students. Hope you're doing good. I'm going to go over this topic of slopes, finding how to find slope of a given line. So, slope of a line is actually defined as change in y, how the line is changing, how steep it is, how it's changing with respect to x. So it can be positive, it can be negative. If the line is going up, it's positive. If a line is going down, it's negative and zero, or it can be zero or undefined. Usually we use the letter m right here, if you can see, to write the slope. We use this m like m equals 3, m equals 3/5, or so on. To find slope, there are many ways. The three ways that I have listed here are the first one, given 2 points, you can actually find because it's the rate of change of that line, how that line is changing with respect to x. So it is, if 2 points are given, you just basically take the change in y by change in x, which is y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1. The other form, as we have seen before, lines can be written as y equals mx plus b. And I have mentioned that in this particular equation, the coefficient of x is m, which is the slope. So if a line is written in this form, that's the slope can be given by the coefficient of x, which is m. Now, the third way, if a line is written like ax, I'm on this one, if the line is written like ax plus by equals c, this one right here, then this is called the standard form of the line. And in this case, you are more than welcome to change it to the slope intercept form. Or you can simply say that slope is negative a over b. Now, if I change it to the slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, I have to solve it for y. So if I solve for y, then we have by equals, I'm subtracting ax on both the sides. So subtracting ax, so moving ax on the other side, I get c. Now dividing by b, I have to isolate y. So I get y equals negative a over b x plus c over b. 1 second. So plus c over b right here. So plus c over b. Now be mindful that when you divide by b, both negative a and c are divided by b. So right here is your equation. So let me write it again. So if I change this equation to the slope intercept form, it becomes y equals negative a over bx plus c over b. So again, if you look at the coefficient of x, it's negative a over b. It's in the form of slope intercept form now. So the coefficient of x is turning out to be negative a over b. So slope of this line is negative a over b. So if you want to go this route, if you want to solve for y and then look for coefficient of x, that's negative a over b, or just dividing the negative of the dividing of coefficient of x by the coefficient of y. So now I'm going to talk about certain important things that we can write about lines. The first thing is slope of a horizontal line is 0. So slope of any horizontal line is 0. Why is that? Because there's no change when you have horizontal lines. So horizontal lines are the lines of this form. Suppose this is your x and y axis. So this is my x-axis and y-axis. Suppose I draw a line right here. Let me change the color. So suppose I draw this line right here. There's no change in y. Let's say this point is y equals 3. So y is not changing, but x is changing. So the change is 0. The change of y is 0. So that's why. So y equals 3 is an example, right? So horizontal lines have the form y equals a number. It could be y equals negative 30, y equals negative 100, y equals 3/5, or y equals 0, simply x-axis. But these slope of a horizontal line is always 0 because y is not changing. Now the second one is that the slope of your vertical line is undefined. So slope of a vertical line now is undefined, right? So why is that? Because if you look at a vertical line, let me draw a vertical line right here only on the diagram that I have. So if I draw a vertical line right here, for example, something like this, and let's say this is my x equals 2. So the equation of this line is x equals 2. The slope for this is undefined. I mean, that's the steepest line we can have. The change in y is changing, even though x is constant, x is 2, y is continuously changing here. So that's why the slope of the equations are x equals whatever number, and the slopes for these kind of equations are undefined. The third one that I want to cover is parallel lines and perpendicular lines. So if you have two parallel lines, so their slopes are the same, right? Their steepness is the same. The change in y by change in x is the same. So two parallel lines have the same slope, right? So now the how to write these lines, let's say, let me give you an example of two parallel lines. So the first one would be something like, let's say, 3x plus 5y equals 7. Suppose this is a line. Another line that's parallel to this line would be 3x plus 5y equals, let's say, 9. Just change these numbers here, just change these constants right here, and you will see parallel lines. um, so x coefficient and y coefficient, this side, if I'm writing in the standard form, this side must be the same. 3x plus 5y equals 7, 3x plus 5y equals -1, and so on. All of these will be parallel lines. So these slopes are same. Slope of both of these lines is -3/5. Divide the coefficient of x by the coefficient of y with the negative. So slope is -3/5. Now, for the perpendicular lines, if two lines are perpendicular, they are intersecting each other at 90 degrees. So if two lines are perpendicular, then the slopes of these the two lines, if I do m1 and m2, they should multiply and give you -1. So when two lines are perpendicular, the product of their slopes is -1. For example, the first line, let's take the first line same as I took before, 3x plus 5y equals 7. My second line must be 5x minus 3y equals any number, let's say 11. So if you see here, the slope of my first line is same as -3/5, but the slope of my second line, m2, is 5/3. And when I multiply these two, I get 3/5 times 5/3 is -1. m1 times m2 is -1. So to write two perpendicular lines, you must follow this, that 3x plus 5y equal, if one of them is given, the coefficients interchange, and you change the plus to negative. So that's how you write perpendicular lines. Now let's look at these questions right here. Find the slope of the following lines with the given information. The first one, write the slope of this. Now you can change this to the slope intercept form by solving for y, or you can simply write m in this case is the coefficient of x, which is 1, divided by the coefficient of y, which is -2, and a negative a over b. So this comes out to be 1/2. If I solve for y, what do I get? Let's look at the other way. -2y equals -x plus 5. I subtracted x from both the sides. Now I divide by a -2. So y equals -x by -2 plus 5 over -2, which is same as x by 2, or 1/2 x, -5 over 2. So what's the coefficient of x? The coefficient of x here is 1/2, right? So the coefficient of x is 1/2, and so the slope is 1/2. Either way, some students like it this way, some like it that way. So either way, you should know the technique, but just stay consistent with that. Either you know it's -a over b given the standard form, or you solve for y and the coefficient of x is your slope. Now the next one is passing through these 2 points. So that's an easy one. So y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1. Just plug in the values. Y2 is 5. So 5 minus -10, y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1, so -3 minus 2. You can also do y1 minus y2. So let me write it here. You can also do y1 minus y2 by x1 minus x2. Just stay consistent. If you're doing y2 minus y1, just do x2 minus x1 in the denominator. If you are doing y1 minus y2, just do x1 minus x2 in the denominator. So let's see what this becomes. 5 plus 10 is 15. Negative negative is positive by negative 5, which is same as negative 3. Y equals negative 8. That's my next problem. It's a horizontal line, and for horizontal lines, slope is 0, right? Now the next one is a vertical line, x equals 4. For vertical lines, they are steep, very steep. So vertical lines, you cannot find the slope. So slope is undefined. The next one is y equals 3x minus 2. It's already written in the form of y equals mx plus b. So in this case, your m is 3. The line is parallel to this. So what will be the slope of the line which is parallel to this line? So slope should be the same. What's the slope of this particular line given? The slope of this particular line is negative 5 over negative 3 minus a over b, which is 5/3. So the slope of the line which this question is asking is 5/3. The line perpendicular to this one. Now that's interesting. Suppose the slope that I'm seeking is given by m1. M2, let's look at this m2 from the line which is given. So m2 is 5 over 3, right? It's the same as your the line in question number 6 as well. So my question is, if there is a line that's parallel to number 7, what will be the slope of that line? So what you want to do is you want to take the reciprocal of this one. So m1 must be 3/5 and with a negative, because when you multiply these two, m1 and m2, you should get negative 1. So you take the reciprocal and multiply by a negative. So that will give you the slope of the perpendicular line. Okay, so that's it for me now. I'll keep posting more videos and take care.